Hello, Melanie and Charlotte. Welcome to Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace. How are you doing? It is Moon Day, Monday. So this is your favorite number one mindfulness show here on Fireside, where we get to discuss things like where we want to be this week, what we are trying to create for ourselves. How do we get that wheel moving so that we are not stuck, right? Or stagnant? And how best we can support each other. Just getting to really ponder, are we actively tapping into some of the tools that are available to us? Like gratitude. Gratitude is not something that we practice just because it has to do with church or spirituality. Gratitude is something that actually causes a chemical reaction in the brain that brings pleasure, that makes you feel good. And what that tells me is that at the scientific level, practicing gratitude is a tool. So are you using it? Are you looking at your life and saying at least one thing that you are grateful for amidst the chaos, amidst the drama? Are you drowning yourself in that negativity and staying there, or are you actively seeking out moments of, I'm going to use this as a tool because the science of it tells me that I will feel better? And the thing about it is, you try it again and again and again and again. You're going to hear me say this a lot, right? As a reminder, you do it again, again, and again, and then you feel better. Or then it becomes second nature. Or then, it became a practice. So thank you. I feel like that was really heavy to start off. Oh my gosh, right off the bat. But I feel like I just wanted to share that because, as you know, Monday's episode is a bit shorter, right? We go straight into the how was your weekend and what are you looking forward to this week? Because that's really what our Monday episodes are about. And then, as a friendly reminder, we go deeper into this conversation for the new moon and for the full moon, so twice a month, where we actually journal live. So if you would like to check that episode out from last Friday, you'll see me journaling while everybody else is, sharing and talking. And then I painted over it. And I don't have my sketch pad here, but this is from March, from the full moon, strawberry moon in March. So what I journaled is under here. Nobody knows about it. My husband has no idea what I journaled, and that just makes me really happy. Yes. And then I painted over it during the activity, right? And so, technically speaking, even though we're not like Picasso or anything like that, far from it, but you get to walk out of the activity with a piece of art, right? That you can hang on the wall. I mean, we do it for our children, so why not do it for ourselves? I feel like that's self love as well, right? Without being actually like prideful, like, look at my art. Just, I feel good about this. And I feel good about what I wrote under it, which is the most important thing. What you write under it, whether it's for the full moon, we release. I release the fear. I release the negativity. I release the insecurity. I release the haters or whatever you need to just stay away from. And then in the new moon, we plant seeds of intention, which really today is Monday and the new moon peaked on Saturday. So we're still in that energy bubble. So we can definitely still have a conversation about planting seeds, specific seeds, like, I want to plant seeds of real positivity, not like superficial, oh yeah, I'm fine, but real positivity, right? So what am I doing to actually nurture that seed? That's when the action comes in and when the tool comes in, right? And the practice. I want to plant seeds of kindness. And the thing about these things, for example, positivity, peace, kindness, compassion, is that they are values. And if you value kindness, you're going to really have a hard time spending time with people who don't value kindness. And you might, welcome the opportunity to spend time with people because you want to be kind. But when you, especially if you're highly sensitive, right? If you're an empath, then you're going to struggle even more by spending time with people who don't value what you value. because it's not in alignment with your core, with the soul level, right? That's that soul alignment aspect that you hear me talk about. I have a whole package around this and so on and so forth, right? And of course, the friendly reminder of letting you know that the soul doesn't necessarily have to do with church either. We all have the soul, which is, what allows me to bring this message. The soul is what propels you forward, what kind of like tells you that you deserve better, right? Or that tells you that something is not in alignment. That's not just your brain or the science of it all. And Deepak Chopra is very clear about this in the book that we just shared in my book club. So if you are brand new to Fireside or brand new to Moon, Magic, and Mindfulness with Grace, then know that you can sign up for my newsletter to get to know about all the things that I do, including the book club or the support group, which is a private support group. So I'm just so grateful that you're here. Thank you for being here. The reason why this episode is so big, Milam, is because we have been here for 6 episodes, which means we have completed a full month. Yay! Thank you. Yay! Yes, we have done 4 moon days together, 4 Mondays, and then we did the full moon, and then we did the new moon. And so that is so wonderful. Look at us, right? Setting a goal and actually achieving it. And I couldn't have done that without you. So this success of completing a full month together is really for all of us. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for being here, for showing up for yourself. Thank you. And for wanting to make your week the best week ever, every single week, right? I like to talk about that a lot as well. The reason why we all get so overwhelmed with some of our goals is because we think about the big umbrella, the big goal, like I want to write a book, right? We've talked about this before. Some of the members of our audience have brought up the fact that they want to write a book. And so we tend to think about, oh my gosh, this book, how am I going to write it? When am I going to put the time? How am I going to do this? But if you break it down into chapters, and then you break it down into one page at a time, and then you break it down into one paragraph at a time, right? And then you keep breaking that down, it doesn't become that big of a monster. It becomes something a little bit more realistic that you can really do. I do talk a lot about journaling because I am an avid journaler, but I meet people that I recommend for them to journal. And then they say, well, I've never journaled, or I don't like, writing or whatever. Well, what if you start with one word? One word. How do I feel today? Good. Great. You did the homework. That's all I need. What am I thinking about this situation today? Overwhelm. Great. That's one word. How do I want to feel about this situation? Peace. Great. Write it down. That's all I need. One word a day. And then we may turn it up a notch after a month or two. Let's do 2 words. And all of a sudden, they're writing sentences. And all of a sudden, they're texting me pictures of the journal that they bought, which is this thick. And I'm like, wow, you have a lot to write now, right? So it's a process of understanding that we don't need to be at 100% right away. We can just do 1% today, 1% tomorrow. There's a whole book about this. Now it's escaping me who writes it, but there's a whole book about the 1%. And it's like we are conditioned or historically taught or, somehow understood from social media or Hollywood or the commerce or the media. At some point, we all got the message that we need to be 100%. But that's not true, though. It's not even realistic, is it? Because, what if today I feel great and I still acknowledge that I'm at like 90%, right? Am I going to feel bad about the fact that I don't feel 100%? Or am I just going to thrive in that 90%? Let's move on. Let's, turn that wheel, turn the wheel forward. So that's it. That's my little monologue. Oh, I'm gonna have to write that down and really practice it. But it's Monday, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear about how your weekend was and what you may be struggling with. If there's anything that you would like to share that we can all support you with, right? As a wellness professional, it's not just about the positivity all the time. No, it's not. That's the beauty about the moon. There's a dark side to it, and it's the same moon. So I like to acknowledge and welcome it all because we all go through the motions. We all ebb and we all flow. So if you are ebbing and joining us in that ebb, we want to make sure that we support you in that ebb and possibly offer you some ways to get you back into that flow. And it doesn't have to be today either. I am very well aware that it is the end of the day. But I just want the week to, you know, flow a little bit better. And when you strategize, it really does flow better. Before I know it, it's Wednesday and I'm already reevaluating the middle of the week, right? How am I going to handle how my flow is going and how it's going to finish by Friday? And then before I know it, it's Friday, and then I flip the table and I don't work Saturday and Sunday. And then before I know it, we're back here having another beautiful conversation, right? So it's just that flow of getting the things done that really align with me, connecting with the people that align with me and my values in a very specific way, putting boundaries around those who don't align, dealing with my own sense of self, my cup, filling it up and doing whatever it takes so that I can then serve others, right? We talked about self-love that week. We can talk about self-love again and what that entails. And then showing up for you and for me, right? So that's really how that flow looks like for me. So who would like to come up and share? Ding, ding, ding. Now it's up to you. Hello, Deanna. How are
I
you?
am fabulous. How are you, my friend?
I am doing good. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, I appreciate it. I have been wanting to catch your show, and it's right in my evening routine, and so I always kind of, I'm like, oh my goodness, I missed it. Oh, it's almost over. Oh, yeah. So I'm glad I caught you today. It's exciting. I wanted to just share, something that you said. I know you said you journal a lot, and I do too. I love journaling, and I love gratitude, and I've combined those mostly all the time, but I just recently came across someone who also does doodling,
Mm.
and it's something that is done as a release to be able to um, center your attention into what you're doing so that you're able to clear those thoughts that turn off all the rambling in your head. And I thought it was interesting. I doodle a lot, like when I'm trying to focus, because I have issues focusing, and so I doodle a lot while I'm trying to focus. And so this was something I thought, well, okay, let's try it to see if it settles and calms that narrative that tends to just kind of go, 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 go. And it is one of those things that I'm working on each evening and in the mornings, and it kind of settles everything. So I just thought I'd add that into here because the energy, I think, and you know about this because you talk about it with your moon's cycles and everything, that the energy that we put out is going to affect everything. It affects the way our day goes. It affects how we set up our day, how we end our day. And so, if you can do that in some way that calms or creates positivity, it's not about, like you said, always being up, but it's about setting your mind to something. And so, I thought that that was a cool thing, and maybe it could be something that helps somebody that needs to have a little bit of way of honing that focus. Doodling. I never thought of it, but it's working, so I thought it would be a cool ad. Thanks for letting me speak.
Yes, of course. I love it. Yes. And I love that you're bringing this to the table because you're allowing the viewers and me and everyone a reminder, which is, journaling can look different ways. And the point of it all is, how does mindfulness work for you? So maybe you like puzzles. Well, then that is a mindfulness practice. Maybe journaling is not the one for you. So to know that doodling is an available, viable option because you're still connecting your brain to your hand, your eyes are on the paper, and hopefully you're not driving, right? Hopefully you're sitting on your desk while you do this, then that's a mindfulness practice. And we don't tend to there's a confusion when it comes to the term mindfulness because it's like, well, what is my mind full of and what exactly does this look like? But it's really about having your eyes in the present moment with your hands in front of you and you focused on what you're doing. So arts and crafts could also work. Thank you for bringing this up, Deanna, because this is all really good. And Melanie, you can share next, and then we're gonna hear from Peter. Melanie, I think I heard that you mentioned that you like wrapping stones, like on wire, like for necklaces and stuff. That's a mindfulness practice too. So, would you care to share? You don't need to share about that, but welcome to our show. And what would you like to share? Oh, and maybe Melanie doesn't realize her mic is muted. So let me see if I can do this. Oh, I cannot. Okay,
Okay,
there
I
we
did
go.
it. Can
Okay,
you hear
good.
me?
Yes.
Hi, Graciela. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Um, I think that any activity that can make you mind, um, practices mindfulness is wonderful. I used to be an avid journaler. I wrote poetry and all that kind of things. There's a time and a place for everything. You know, I was mindful today of the state of mind I was in. I wasn't in a good way, and I realized that the way that I could feel better, I could be, engaged in an activity, but the place that I was in, I really just needed to use my voice to kind of get out of the things that were going on in my head and the place that I was in. And so I just connected. I made myself very vulnerable, and I spoke about how I felt, and the feedback was just so positive that I want to focus on that more. That's really what I need to do is just present myself in the authentic way that I'm feeling at the time, and receive and be receptive to the support that is out there for me. That I have to do first, because a lot of times I do feel alone. But all those other activities, yes, I love, teaching myself how to do new things like wrapping raw stones, or I'd like to teach myself how to crochet. But first things first, I was mindful that I really needed to be connected to like minded people who would be supportive. And it happened tonight. It was like magical for me.
Mm.
Thank you for letting me share.
Of course, Melanie. Thank you so much for being here and for joining us. And you also bring something really valuable to the table, which is mindfulness is also about recognizing when you are in that ebb and then what are you going to do about it, right? As opposed to just staying there and lingering, you actively recognize that you needed support and that you wanted to share with your community and that you would obviously uh, the pattern of behavior in these communities that we've already shared and seen is that if we need each other, people show up, right? And so, how beautiful and what a blessing that you knew that you were in your ebb and that you could call on us, right? Call on this community to ask your questions or share authentically, like you said, how you felt in the moment, knowing that you would feel better. That's a gift, right?
Yes, and I'm so grateful that I received it. Thank you so much to everybody.
Yes, you're very welcome, and I'm looking forward to many more conversations with you down the line because you're new to our community, meaning we've just been sharing for the past few weeks, but time flies and before we know it, we're going to be celebrating, our anniversary here on Fireside. So it's going to be amazing. Just like today, it's our 1 month anniversary. Yay! Welcome, Peter. How are you doing today? Welcome to Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace. What would you like to share?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, everyone is welcome to video. We don't need to keep you all on audio. Hi, Peter. Welcome. How are you doing?
I am good, Grace. Thank you. I've been like Deanna, I've been meaning to catch your show the last few weeks, and this is my first time. And you are like a breath of fresh air. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So, listening to the first half of your show, when you said like if you're working through something to share and work through it together, notoriously, I'm one of those people that's like, "Oh, I've got it. I don't need any help. I can
Mm.
forge my way through this." And admittedly, there's definitely lots of flows. I've got so many great things going on, but the ebb is the low one, right?
Yes.
Yes, the ebb I find myself in tonight is I've got so much to do. I've put so much on my plate, and it's all positive that I'm like paralyzed
Mhm.
with like I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So now I'm just into like I'm gonna do this crossword puzzle just to free my mind, and then it's like an hour and a half later, and it's like yeah, I was really, and you fool yourself that like doing a crossword puzzle is productive. So anyway, with the energy of this Moon Monday, what would you have to say about trying to get out of? And I guess it's a procrastination ebb.
Hmm. It's an avoidance ebb.
Yeah.
What are you avoiding, right? You go into the yes, and it happens to us as well. I mean, I avoid the laundry all day long. I don't want to do that. Or I'll avoid dinner, and all of a sudden everybody's looking at me like, are we having dinner or what? But I prioritize, right? And so sometimes my community just takes my heart, and I want to prioritize my community and forget about, my family, and that's a red flag, right? So it's first of all, it's great that you're recognizing that all of the things that you have on your plate are positive and that they're blessings. So congratulations on everything that's going on with you. That sounds like, you've worked really hard to get to where you're at. And now all of these things are happening and all of these seeds are growing for you. Now the question is, how do you handle this garden, right? I would definitely, you know, when it comes to strategizing, I feel like deadlines would probably just off the top of my head be the first thing to really bring up, because knowing what those deadlines are will show what needs to be done first. What is the biggest priority that you need to do right now? Is it something that needs to be done by Friday? Well, then maybe you should be doing that, right? And then start strategizing about how to do that one thing by Friday, and so on and so forth. If it's a question of lots of things that need to be done here and there, little by little, then it's really a question of time blocking. And that means organizing your day in a way that doesn't drive you to burnout. And when you're time blocking, it means you're proactively looking at your schedule and saying, I'm going to spend 1 hour doing this, and then I'm going to put a timer to spend 15 minutes doing a crossword puzzle. But when that timer goes off, I'm going to go back to this other thing and spend an hour doing that. And then I'm going to spend 30 minutes doing my lunch, and then I'm going to go back to a brain activity that demands my attention, like a newsletter or whatever your projects are. So something heavy, something light, something heavy, something light, something heavy, something light, with your meals at play and some fresh air included in your time blocking. If you're anything like me, then you're going to put your nap on your schedule. You're going to put the park on your schedule, right? So maybe you've never done this before, but it might help. If I don't write things on my schedule, they don't happen. So recognizing these things is a lot of what contributes to getting back into that flow, and also experimenting, right? Because time blocking, the way that I just describe it, may not work for you, but actively looking at your time and seeing what works, it's like playing Tetris with your time, right? So maybe you work better with a 30-minute light activity of a crossword, and then a half hour of heavy work. So being open to experimentation is huge. We do a lot of that in coaching. What do you think? How does that all sound?
Yeah, I mean, those are great suggestions. I think, it sounds so basic, but imposing most of my things need to be my own deadlines. So I should give myself a deadline, but I do like the concept of time blocking, because obviously when you have legit meetings and what have you, you put it in your calendar, and so like I really love this idea of putting working on this project for 1 hour on my calendar. And so like
Mhm.
then I look at it, it's like, oh yeah, I got to be there for that hour doing that. It's on my calendar. I love it.
That's right. Yes.
I
Thank
love the
you.
concept of hard hard lifting and light.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
about 15 minutes. I love the concept of fresh air. Sometimes I'll go the whole day working. It's like, my God, it was 86 degrees and beautiful today, and I had no idea.
Hmm. Yes, and we stay inside, with the AC going and
Right.
recycling all that air. So, yeah, fresh air, see, these are things that are not for you specifically. They are for your brain. They are for your own biological at the cellular level so that you don't burn out. Because could we do all the projects back to back, like in school? All day long, class to class to class to class. I feel like now we're redesigning how some of that looks, but it's going to take a while, right? Could we do it that way? Sure. But does it lead to burnout? Yes. Especially if you're creative, if you're using like your creativity and coming up with things all the time, as opposed to just, reading a book or doing some math or doing some business type thing. Those are different, right? It's a different side of the brain that you're using. But if you're a content creator and you're just coming up with things and new ways and new strategies, then you definitely need the fresh air, the nap, whatever. Drink water. I cannot emphasize this enough. We need to drink water. Our whole body is made of water. The moon affects the beach, and if it affects the beach, it definitely affects the moon in your the water in your body, everyone. It really does. So these are all little reminders that I like to throw out there.
And I do take that one. Like I drink a lot of water.
Good, good. Well, thank you. Do you have any other question before we go back to Deanna? Oh, she might also have a suggestion for you because she came back up.
Okay, I'll see what Deanna has to say before I bow out.
Yeah, I
Good, Deanna.
I just had an ad because I have suffered, I guess you could call it, maybe, if I want to use a word here, with procrastination pretty much all my life. And it took a long time and a lot of work and therapy to realize that for me. And so I'd like to, Peter, for you to ask yourself this as well. What's the root of it? So for me, it's a side effect of anxiety, stress, overwhelm. So when I have a lot of projects going on, I get overwhelmed. And when I get overwhelmed, if I can't do everything, I do nothing kind of person. And so as Grace pointed out, time blocking is amazing for that because it allows you to take it and chunk it down into smaller steps. But one of the things I do as a practice is when I am procrastinating a bit on something, now the first thing I do is what is the stressor? Like I get curious, right? About why is this showing up for me right now? What is stressing me about the situation that's causing me to procrastinate a bit? Is it truly that I need to take a mental break and do a crossword puzzle, which is a great mental break? I love crossword puzzles. Um, or is it something deeper than that that's stressing me a little bit about the project? It's something new. It's something I don't know what I do. Maybe I need a brainstorm, maybe journaling about it, whatever else. And then the other part of what Graciela said was not just time blocking, but also think about how you can have it stack. So when I do when you think of habit stacking, it's not a habit you're trying to form, but working in similar veins. on projects or things, parts of projects that match each other. So let's say I have copy to do, and then I'll do the copy for 3 or 4 different things while I'm sitting down and I'm writing because I'm in the flow of writing.
Right.
So I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, those are 2 things. Get curious, and then when you're time blocking, make sure that you can also become efficient about the way you do your work in that time block. If you have things that can cross over but be in the same category, I don't know if that makes sense. I hope I'm making
Absolutely.
sense.
Yeah, of course. No, it definitely makes sense. And so I call some of the habit stacking type of conversation, I call it batching. So
Batching.
I'll make a batch of this.
That's a great way to
Yeah.
put it because it's not a habit that particularly we're talking about, but batching your similar work types together. There you go.
Right.
Perfect.
Exactly. So, like for the next hour, all I'm going to do is follow ups. Could I sprinkle my follow ups throughout the week? No. Everybody needs to, I also, the same way that I accommodate others, I also expect to be accommodated sometimes, right? So I'll use one day and that's my follow up. If you can cancel, great. Or if you can confirm, great. But this is the time that I am following up, right? And so those are also boundaries that I have set with myself and my community. Boundaries are huge. And to what Deanna was saying of getting curious, fear is also something that creates analysis paralysis. And I'm going to say this, respectfully, and I don't mean to pick on you and tell you that you're afraid, but let me tell you how it shows up for me. So I will avoid doing something because I'm already judging that it won't be good enough. So that's the fear of not being good enough. Or I'm already judging that it will not be well received. So that's the fear of like not being liked. Or there's just something there, something with this. What am I avoiding about this? And getting curious allows you to answer that question and figure out that maybe it's not the right time to do it, or maybe you need to, the way that I speak to myself sometimes, which is suck it up and get it done, because then you feel so much better, right? Like you got it done, now you get to celebrate, and now you have the rest of the day to come up with something new. Or you realize that you are going to put it away altogether and you stick with that decision because you have the freedom to choose, right? How beautiful to have the freedom to say, I don't need to do this right now. So I'm just not going to do it because it's not good for me or for my mental health or for my well being, or I don't like the pressure that this is bringing into my being. So getting curious like that, putting names to things and then analyzing how can you work around it. That's the flow. If you just get stagnant, then you're in that ebb. And the thing about the ebb is that then you get in the flow of the negative, which is, oh, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not good enough because I could be doing so much better, or all of that negative self talk that it's like, how do I do anything now? Right. And so it's really just about moving the wheel little by little. And before you know it, it's Friday again, and you're already done with a week. Don't think about it that far in advance. How can I bring it closer? What's the one thing that I can do today? That's another book written by Gary Keller, the creator of Keller Williams Realty. The one thing. And he talks about how you have this whole list of to dos that is so overwhelming. Whoever gets to check off all of those, right? But when you look at your list, what's the one thing that would really make a difference today for you or for your community? Maybe that's just one thing in your list. We'll make sure that you do it so that you can at least be, satisfied with the fact that you did that one thing. How does that
all
sound?
all amazing. And when I do kind of like get curious, as Deanna brought up and you reemphasized, yeah, I think I kind of figured it out. I don't know why I never got curious about it before, but I'm sure I haven't figured the whole thing out. But 90% of my to dos are creative, and I've kind of got this thing about perfection out of the gate,
Mm-hmm.
and that's makes it so easy to not kind of like finish or start,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, well, it's got to be perfect. I'm not ready to create perfection just this moment. I
Right.
got to remember to let go of that and just like we all know with creative endeavors, you just got to start churning it out.
Yes. It has to be progress over perfection, not
Yes,
not the
yes.
other way around. Yes. And I like to tell my community as well, slow progress is still progress. 1%. That's all it takes. Just one thing today and one thing tomorrow. Before you know it, you wrote the book, right? So it's little by little, and this takes a lot of self-compassion, and this takes a lot of self-coaching, because again, if the negative self-talk gets in the way, you need to be able to shut that down, so on and so forth. So I'm just happy that you're here, and you're welcome to join us every single Monday, Moon Day, so that we can check in on your progress and move that wheel along with you. Because I've been doing this for myself for over 10 years now. Monday Moon Day has always been my favorite. And when I quit real estate after a very, legit burnout, and real estate is like 24/7, right? So with a toddler, I just couldn't do that. When I quit real estate, I realized now I have my weekends and now I can do all of this for myself. So let me do this the way that I want to. And so it's always been a Monday through Friday thing. And then I'm very strategic about my weekends, right? I don't want to touch my newsletter during the weekend. I don't want to do follow ups during the weekend. I don't coach during the weekend unless it's an emergency. And then I come back to my work agenda on Mondays. And that allows me to just come to it fresh. So that's another thing. What boundaries for self care are you making sure that you have for yourself? Are you just going into your content 7 days a week? That's exhausting for
Yeah.
your brain and for your soul as well. You're pushing yourself too much, and then analysis paralysis, you don't do anything. Yeah, we've all been there. Yeah, we all go through it. We all ebb and flow. So I'm very, very proud of you for sharing your ebb with us and helping, letting us help you through it. Really grateful.
And thank you for all the advice. I love it. Thank you so much. And I will definitely take you up on your offer to come back again on Moon Monday.
Of course. Yes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I would love that. Thank you so much. Yeah. And Diana says perfectionism breeds procrastination. That's right. Because it just creates analysis paralysis. If I'm not going to do it perfect, well, then I might as well not do it. And that's just not, that's a disservice to you and a disservice to the people that you are creating for. It's not just you that gets to miss out on it. And here's the thing about, I would like to bring it back to the fear of judgment for a second, because sometimes we don't create, as content creators, we don't create or we don't put something out there because we are afraid that someone is going to judge it, right? And the thing about you just not doing something because you're afraid that someone else will judge you for it is that you're judging yourself first. You are the one looking at your possibility and saying, no, and you're not giving the world a chance to decide. But if you're not your one supporter, then who will be? If you're not the one saying, I think this is my best, I think this is good enough, this is it, take it or leave it, here it is, here is my offering, then you're the one casting a judgment on your offering before you give anyone else the chance. So do you want to do that? Probably not. I think we can all agree we don't want to do that, and we all do it. We definitely all do it. But to be mindful of it means to stop yourself and to acknowledge that you're in the process of doing that. And then what am I going to do about it? Well, let me take a breather and let me do it anyway. Right? That's confidence, doing it with the fear, doing it anyway, even though you feel the fear, or even though you're nervous, or even though someone might reject you or take it the wrong way. Oof, let's not go through that rabbit hole. I went through a whole fiasco today on Twitter, me sharing something that someone completely misinterpreted, and I was completely misunderstood, and the whole drama of it all. But I put my 2 cents out there. I did it anyway. And then, of course, it was done. So there was very little I could do. But sometimes it just takes the action. And an analysis paralysis is something that we all go through, and overthinking. We all do it, especially with things that really matter to us, right? That we want to hold close to us. It's definitely something that when we are in protecting or protective mode, we tend to also not create action because we are protecting. So, those are all the things to consider, to look at, to acknowledge, to label, and then to decide what are you going to do about it, right? And again, if it's not for you, then it's not for you. So acknowledging all those things. So thank you. Thank you so much. You gave us so much to be able to, digest and to work through. So I appreciate you, Peter, so much. And Deanna, thank you for coming up. And Melanie. And so this is what Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace is all about. I want to be able to help you. Thank you. Thanks so much. I want to be able to help you strategize for the week. We don't need to think about next year. It'll get here before we know it. Cutting it into smaller bite sizes just creates a little bit more peace because I can see, well, I can't see, but before we know it, it's Friday. I already said that 3 times, so I won't say it again, but you know what I mean. It's just so much easier to make it smaller and to then take smaller bites. So, this is what this show is about. I want to be able to help and to serve you and to make sure that you are moving that wheel along. So if everybody is ready, we're going to do a quick 10 minutes. So just feet on the ground, get comfortable. If you are laying down, you can go ahead and lay down. It's actually better because in my meditations, we are going to activate that vagus nerve. Vagus, not Vegas, right? And the thing about the vagus nerve is, and I'll explain this for as long as there's new people on the show because it's for the benefit of those listening and for the benefit of everyone tuning in on YouTube. The thing about your vagus nerve is that the only purpose of this nerve in your body is to bring you back to complete stillness and relaxation. So, unless you need medical assistance with your vagus nerve, which some people do, and it's super sad that they cannot do this for themselves, unless you need medical attention for your vagus nerve, you should be able to tap into certain practices like breath work to activate it and to actively tell it that you need it to relax you. Isn't that amazing how the body works? And for those of you that are visual, I'm very visual as well. Imagine it like a web of neon, right? So your whole body is red and all the colors of your muscles. Imagine the vagus nerve as a neon web that extends from your gut to the back of your brain, right where the lizard brain is, the one that tells you to fight or flight or throw a fit, right? And in between these 2 points, it extends to your major organs like your lungs and your heart. And this is why meditation is so powerful. And this is why some people like to say that 30 minutes of breath work it's equal to 30 hours of therapy. What? You know how much money you could save if you only do breath work? That's amazing. And time as well. 30 hours versus 30 minutes of intense breath work. Now, we don't do intense breath work here, but we're definitely going to go through 3 repetitions of me guiding you through this. So, what I was going to say is if you're laying down, it's better to activate it because you're going to fill your stomach. And then when you release the air, by releasing it, you actually tap into your vagus nerve. When you're sitting up, your core is already engaged. So there's a bit less of that activation going on, but you still do it and you will still feel relaxed. So just feet on the ground, focus on your normal breathing, and get nice and relaxed. And just take a moment. And you can give me a thumbs up if you can hear this. Maybe you can't. I'm still testing all of this equipment out. Noble Ron is clapping, but I don't know if the laughter meant that you could hear it or probably not. This is very subtle, actually, so I might just change this to something else. Let's do the forest. All right. Take a moment to center, eyes closed. Focus on your normal breathing. Steady in, steady out. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just be here now. And with me, you're going to take a deep breath in, nice and slow. Deep breath in, deep, deep, deep. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and slowly let it go. Nice and slow, not in a hurry. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe in again. Slow, slow, slow. Fill those lungs all the way to the top. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it go. Nice and slow, and just breathe normal now. And focus your attention and your mind's eye on 5 columns. Each of them empty, each of them standing. You might see them in 3D. You might see 5 lines on the paper, just 5 columns. And one by one, you wonder, what do I need to do tomorrow? And one by one, nice and slow, with all the care in the world, one box at a time, each item goes into the first column. Content creation, one box. Personal hygiene, one box. Fresh air and recreation, one box. Food prep, one box. And little by little, they just all fall into place. And then the next column. You are safe. You are aware. And you are happy to look into each box and get to work every single day. Not in a hurry. No outside pressure. You have flexibility, the freedom to choose, the blessing of all the technology available. So the question is, what do you want to create? And how are you going to go about it. Bring your awareness to your hand and put your hand on your heart. And with me, you're going to take a deep breath in, nice and slow. Just fill those lungs, fill your belly, hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it go. Nice and slow. Slow, 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 all the way until you run out of air. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in again. Deep, deep, deep. Fill those lungs. They're bigger than you think. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it go. As you look at each column, you realize every box has been opened, everything has been done, and now you feel the satisfaction of getting things done for you, for your family, for your community, for the world. How does it feel to know that you actively tried your best, consciously, strategically, consistently, whatever your best looks like for you? It feels so good. Blessings galore and so much love for you and for each passing moment that you get to create what you want to create. And with your hand in your heart, I want you to remind yourself that you are so loved, so blessed. You are courageous for actively looking at your life the way you're looking at it. You are courageous for speaking up about your needs. And all that you need is already there, already prepared. Are you going to look for it? With me, we're going to do this one last time. So take a deep breath in, nice and slow, deep, deep, deep. Hold it at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it go, nice and slow. Nowhere to go. Hold it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in again. Slow, 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 deep, 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 all the way to the top. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and let it go. And as you breathe out, just breathe out all the fear, all the judgment, and all the pressure. Nothing will stand in your way. And it is already a fantastic week. Bring your awareness to your hands. Bring your awareness to your normal breathing. And can slowly open your eyes and come back to me. Yeah, yeah. I hope you're still awake. You can let me know if you are. That would be great. And if not, thank you. Thank you, Deanna. Deanna is awake. Yes, thank you so much, Charlotte. I'm so happy that you're here. And so, what a beautiful week it already is, because you showed up for yourself to talk about the things that you want to do and to figure out how to go about them. So give yourselves a round of applause, because you are really the reason that you're here for, even if you thought you were coming to spend time with me. So I want to truly thank you for joining Moon Magic and Mindfulness. We are celebrating our whole first month together. What a joy it's been to ride this wave with you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yay. Thank you. I appreciate you deeply for being here and for wanting to figure out how to best go about life. That's all I want. I want to be able to assist you along the way. And it's not just me. You know, Deanna is also a coach, and she's also here on Fireside. So tune into her show as well. Deborah Barsha, you hosted your show. Yeah, Deborah had her show today on Monday, Moon Day, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fabulous people you always bring to the conversation. I definitely support the fact that we are all activists and that there's different ways to go about it. So if you didn't think you were an activist, but you are quick to open your mouth and speak your truth, that's activism. In case you didn't know that. Yes. So, we tend to think about activism as going out there with pickets and just, riding the wave of the people marching down the streets. But if you sent your donation, that's activism. And if you're speaking your truth and standing up for injustice, even in your home, that's activism. So there's a lot of ways to understand these concepts. And we just don't realize how deep they go, but they do. So thank you so much for bringing that conversation today, Deborah. And everyone, that's it. That's Moon Magic and Mindfulness with Grace for you. And we will be back next week. And let me tell you, before you know it, we're going to be back again for the new moon. Wait, for the full moon in September, which is going to be September 9th. And you don't want to miss that, because the very famous and astrological photographer Rami Astro, you can find him through my Instagram, is joining us for an interview. And I'm so excited to have a lunar photographer, talk about how he just spends his time looking through his telescope and taking epic pictures of all of the planets and of the moon. So I'm getting a kick out of the fact that I journaled about that interview months ago, and he said yes when I invited him. So all I had to do was take the courage to invite him. Yes, and here he went and downloaded Fireside, and now he's joining us for the full moon. So make sure that you check that out. And of course, if you would like to watch this conversation again, I definitely recommend it, especially if you were one of the people that shared. Because sometimes in the spare of the moment, we are emotionally invested in what we are sharing. And so we are not actively, listening and hearing the things with our reasonable brain. And that's totally normal. I'm not trying to criticize or anything like that. Far from it. But it's definitely helpful to look back at some of these conversations so that you can be a little bit more objective about it, and then take some of it in. There's always something else that I take in when I rewatch or re-listen to something. So I definitely recommend that. Thank you so much, everybody. That's it for today. I love you all. I never want to finish the show. It's like so heartbreaking to close out the room, but we all have to go to sleep. So thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Melem. Melem says, congratulations on 4 weeks. You see how time just flies? It was yesterday that we met for the very first time here on Fireside, and now we're celebrating a month together. And that's the beauty of strategizing and just being positive and getting things done. So thank you all for being witness to the magic of mindfulness. Yay! I love you all. I'm so proud of you, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye, everyone.